The pattern began usually with this sense that an internal drive to succeed, to prove you test your competence, prove what you were worth, see what you could accomplish, that meant you had to play along with the game. It was kind of this, I'm signing up, right? And that wasn't a bad thing. It was just, I'm committed. I'm going to do this, right? And as people got into it, they started describing things that, to me, are a little troubling, might be a little troubling to you, but they don't have to be on the surface. In a lot of organizations, you may have heard these phrases, but people use metaphors like, I had to drink the Kool-Aid. Do you all remember where that came from? Anybody not remember? I've been in some groups where people don't remember with it. Jim Jones, right? Drink the Kool-Aid. You're really committed. You're going to die with everybody, right? You're going to go down on the Titanic. Don't need the lifeboats. The other one they used I thought was kind of interesting. Any Trekkies here? Anybody admit to being a Trekkie? They would literally adopt the voice, and they'd say, you will be assimilated, resistance is futile. Right? So this idea of signing up, Julie used the phrase, I learned to play the part, kind of acting, right? And go along with it. But what people were surprised by was that often led to unhealthy pressure. That there was pressure in the system, even people they admired, even leaders they loved, they still came up against pressure to do things that didn't feel right. Do things that were shortcuts. One CFO, and my business school classmates now, they're at a stage where they're kind of seeing the chinks in the armor and saying things like, I didn't realize I'd have to fight my own side, right? Right? One example that was kind of the poster child for this one was a company that's a values-based business, highly conscious, just an icon of a company that's really committed to health. They made healthy food. And the woman who worked in customer service there said they were so conscious and inclusive and aware of their processes with everything except the manufacturing floor, where they had a half-time manager and everybody spoke Spanish. And so that wasn't included in their processes for having this healthy, conscious culture, right? So at one point, she started getting things mailed back to her in envelopes that had fallen into the product. People were getting sick, and this is a company that was so, you love them for how mission-oriented, I can't tell you who they are, but you just don't want a company like that to do it. So people were surprised that there were chinks in the armor even in fantastic companies. People described to me feeling kind of the wounds of commitment because they loved the leaders that they worked for and they still felt themselves being pressed to do this. And then once they fell into the compromise, and like Julie, they didn't really realize it at the time. It wasn't like, oh, okay, now I'm going to sign a devil's bargain and here it is, right? It was kind of like you're moving fast and we got to get the targets and, oh my God, look what we just did. But once they did it, and often it's because people didn't feel strong enough, didn't feel enough self-confidence to push back, that after they had made that unhealthy compromise, they felt even greater pressure to play along with the game because they felt less confident, less strong, less able to push back. And there are all kinds of psychological reasons for this. There's an escalating commitment to getting the goal. Once you've compromised, you've really got to prove that the promotion was going to make it worthwhile. You get more susceptible to bullies once you've gone along with unhealthy compromise. I've identified 7 different things that happen when you compromise your values that make it more likely that you'll do another one.